Well, epilepsy is a disorder where nerve cell activity in the brain is disturbed, causing seizures. More than 3 million people in this country have it, and 1 in 26 will develop it at some point in their lives. Joining us to increase awareness is Karen St. Marie, founder and executive director for South Carolina Advocates for Epilepsy, or S.A.F.E for short. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a bit more about S.A.F E and why you started it.
So, S.A.F E was started. My son was diagnosed with epilepsy in 2007 at the age of 18, and there were not a lot of resources in our state for patients or caregivers, and I needed to change that. I knew what it was like as a caregiver, and he knew what it was like as a patient to not have any support, and so we kind of took the ball and ran with it.
So what was an episode like for your son? And he wasn't diagnosed until he was 18 years old. So normal, healthy life, and then boom, this struck him.
Absolutely. So Eric suffered from 3 tonic-clonic seizures in 18 hours. And I am 1 in 10 persons who will have a seizure at some point in their lifetime. So I was aware of what would happen, but there's nothing like seeing your own loved one, your child, having a seizure that you can't stop.
I'm sure incredibly scary, and I know that doctors and healthcare, the healthcare industry is working to try to find a cure, better treatments for epilepsy, but yes, there are ways in which we can keep our fellow persons safe, to know the signs. So what are some of the things you're working on? There is a bill that you're trying to pass, or that you're trying to get through legislation to better prepare people at school. Tell us more about this.
Yes. So we have found that knowledge takes away fear. And so if we can get into the schools and require that all school personnel have seizure first aid training, we can certainly make that environment better for the student themselves, and also for their peers and the staff to know what to do and how to take care of that student as they're having their seizure. However, we also, as an organization, are pushing to get into employers, daycares, churches, civic organizations, to also teach them about seizure first aid. It's simple. Anyone can do it. Even young children can help until an adult can get there. But we just really want to get that out, because anybody, anywhere can have a seizure at any time.
Well, and your son being diagnosed at 18, so he's on the cusp of graduating high school, but had he been diagnosed much earlier on and say he had an episode at school, what would the teachers, staff, what other students, what would they have been able to do to help him?
Well, unfortunately, many of them have never experienced one. And so sometimes if they are not aware of what to do, they can actually make the situation a little worse, because you need to move things out of the way so that as they're seizing, that they're not kicking over a table or a chair to make the situation worse. But back even just that recently, it's been 15 years ago now, school nurses were not in every school. And so a lot of times their basic response was to call 911, which is not necessarily a bad thing to do, but it's not necessary every single time.
I see. I see. All right, you've got some events coming up, starting with March 19th. It's called Strike Out Epilepsy. It's a softball tournament. Where is this taking place?
This is taking place at the Hanahan Recreation Department at their athletic complex. And it's really a lot of fun. This is our second time having this event, and we have competitive and non-competitive teams, and we will actually have a champion in both divisions.
That's wonderful. And finally, last word for you, what would you like to tell people, and what are you hoping to see through the development of your organization, S.A.F E, say in the next year or two?
Just to be open to being friends and a support system for epilepsy patients. They deal with so much on a daily basis that people don't realize, whether it's a loss of employment, losing your ability to drive. There's just so much involved, and just to please come out, support us in our organizational meetings or our events, and just get to know somebody with epilepsy and learn what they go through and how they can help others in their communities.
Absolutely. I want to thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Layla.
We're back after this.